Yo, where you going?
Huh?
Where you going?
I'm going back to Africa.
Africa?
No, you guys lied to us.
Hey, it's too cold.
No, this is not bro, this is not good life.
Hey, how you gonna get there?
People died in Texas. Didn't you hear that?
Hey.
You want me to die here?
No.
People in Africa are surviving. They have a good life.
How long you been here?
Look at the life. Look at the life. This is that shit life, man.
Hey, how long you been here?
I cannot do this.
We've been here for years.
I'm going back.
No, you can't.
Hello viewers, first of all, please, if you like what we do, click on the subscribe button, like our videos and always share. So we are back again and hopefully it will be as interesting as usual. We are talking about Jakpa this evening. Jakpa is a slang in Nigeria. It comes from the Yoruba language and it means to run away or to flee a particular place. So in this context, we are talking about Jakpa from Nigeria, to travel from Nigeria. You can see the symbol. to fly away. Otilo. So what I want you guys to help me talk about is something I've been thinking for a long time. You know that when we travel, when some of us leave Nigeria and start living life abroad, we always communicate with those back home, our family, our friends, and even other ones who intend to come. But I've observed something, that sometimes, even when those back in Nigeria already know that living life abroad is not as easy as it seems when you're back home, or they already know the difficulties inherent, they still insist on traveling abroad. So what do you guys think is the reason for that insistence?
Well, the thing is that the three of us don't Jakpa. The three of us left Nigeria.
That fact.
So how are we in position to even talk about this thing in a way that wouldn't lead to people attacking us for saying that the grass is not always greener on the other side?
Right.
So I would say that first is that most Nigerians leave Nigeria to Western countries. And what you have to realize is that most of these Western countries have good PR. They portray this image of a country where there is flowing of milk and honey. Right? So where everything is fine, there is safety, everything is wonderful. Like for people would say, oh, I bought a new house, I bought a new car. You won't know it's mortgage. You're not gonna say that mortgage. So like in my cars and houses outrightly.
Their money.
So like there are a lot of truths that we are not saying with regards to this Japa. And I'm going to share a short story and then shut up. So there was one day I was talking with someone and I said, you know, I'm a Nigerian boy and we are good at kidnapping. After I said that, I just checked the statistics for rate of kidnapping in the world. Considering that every time there is kidnapping in Nigeria, it makes the news. We talk about it, we shout on social media. Lo and behold, Nigeria didn't make top 10. Guess the country that was number 4, Canada. Okay. And I've been thinking that this place is safe and fine for everybody. But a lot of the things that we see in Nigeria, both the nepotism in employment and all these things, they are all out here.
They are all
we just they portray it as a system that works and where everything is perfect.
Again, it's just like you said, and it's not hitting on people who are back home who are seriously struggling to want a better life. But who no go, no. That's what we would say in Pidgin English, in our local parlance. It's when you come, you realize that, oh, it's not all rosy on the other side. I think it was this guy that sang, I've forgotten the name of this guy that sang Arambe, Brimo, when he talked about how you would think it's all, they tell you stories about all what's happening there. You watch it on CNN, on BBC, or whatever, the movies, they portray it as all perfect. Not saying there are definitely opportunities, which is why we are here actually, the educational opportunities, the work opportunity. But then there are also other struggles that people do not know. And sometimes, like Prince said, it's all flashy. For example, I'll give you my personal example. I got an iPhone, not fully paid for, based on installments. But when I hold that iPhone, people think I don't blow. But in Nigeria, you have big boys in Nigeria who will pay for that phone, like full time. They will pay for it full time. They're doing well. Exactly. But if you ask them, they want to be like me, you know. So that's just what I would say.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I like what Prince said, because even before he started contributing, he said that sometimes far away hills are green. That's what it means. When you look at a mountain from a distance, everything looks green, but when you come close, you see that there are a lot of dry grasses. And And it makes sense because this is also evidenced by one article I read. We can as well share it as usual. An article by Alabi. The article was published last year talking about the expectation reality discrepancy that happens when people travel. And this is the biggest problem because when you're back home in Nigeria or anywhere that your home country is, you feel that the place you intend to go, like we over glorify it. I remember that when I was in secondary school and even in university, I always had this idea that ade acho lo acho n'obodo oyibo, that you don't even have to look for jobs, that once you graduate, the jobs are there. You see, so I came here to realize that you
look for the job, you work hard.
There are so many restrictions, bro.
Exactly.
Actually, people in Nigeria think you are picking money on the street. You are not even working for it. So you should be giving it out. So
it's so crazy.
Yeah. And the argument in that article is that when people arrive, when people get to their destination country, and what they expect is not what obtains actually. It is a problem because sometimes it's even difficult for people to progress in terms of jobs. The qualifications you have from your home country, in most cases, may not be enough to push you. So you see top professionals.
Exactly.
So all these things mess up with your mental health, and
then you face social isolation because it's a different culture, different language, different people that are very individualistic in their cultural way of being. My first 8 months, I didn't even know the name of people that lived around me because nobody would talk to you. So
now you talked about not knowing people around you because nobody will talk to you. Now I want you to paint a mental picture of experiencing the same thing in a country where you don't hear the language, you don't hear anything.
Oh, okay. So
because it's in Germany, so
you're going to Germany.
So when I got to Germany, I realized that I was lost. Not like I don't know the way to my apartment or whatever, but lost in this sense means that there is absolutely no sense of belonging at that first instance. And that is the moment you realize all the things you were enjoying in Nigeria. You don't realize those things because every day what you have in your head is this country is too bad, we are suffering, we are dying here. But the moment you get off the airport here, you go understand, say, okay, welcome. So it's not always the way it seems.
and the fact that you are here going, and like I said, like 100 times, if I should go back to the past, 100 times I will still apply and want to Jakpa. But
I'm still pro-migration, don't get me wrong. Like I don't support the visa regime. Like I feel people should move and try to work and earn a living and connect. And I'm not saying that
it's a global world, right?
Yes, like the whole migration restriction is not what I'm in support of. And I want more Nigerians to travel and have experiences. But I also want a Nigeria that would also, or an Africa that would also be good, that if we decide not to leave, we can still have a good life. And we're not under that pressure to leave.
Now that you just mentioned that you are pro-migration, I like it. I was going to ask you a question, but I will not have to wait. I will ask immediately. You left Nigeria before the rest of us, and you've lived abroad for at least 3 years now. You know that there is this experience where if you complain that things are not the way they seem abroad, I've seen it on social media.
They'll tell you to come back home.
Countless times. What people tell you is, if it is like that, what are you still doing there? Why don't you come back home? So Prince, what could be your response if you were replying to a social media comment? What would be your reply to such comments?
One is that you do not have a guarantee that if you go back to Nigeria, things will become better for you. That's why I said if we have a country where the economic situation and the environment is safe, it would be easier for you to make the decision to go back home. Two is that there is a lot of stigma associated with going back to Nigeria empty-handed because we have built that image of abroad being a place where you make it. And like people even make like videos and short clips. Like almost every Nigerian that goes out starts a YouTube channel where they document their experiences abroad, and they only portray the good parts without the bad. So you hear stories in villages where they say that person that spent 20 years abroad and didn't do anything.
Come back
so there is that stigma and that is preventing people from wanting to go back home.
Added to that, like there are also people who I know by extension is that that they have stayed in the abroad for many years. They are done. They want to come back. They want to come back. They are hungering, whatever English it is, to come back. But they can't because they don't have anything to show for it. It's just like you're staying in the abroad for how many years? And now you're coming
because
back
there is that
empty-handed.
built expectation that if you are there, you are supposed to have made it.
I met
That
this
is
person. I'm sorry. I met this person.
Of course, continue.
I met this person in Washington, D.C. No, this person, I don't know the person's name, but obviously a Nigerian. And it was so pathetic that this person met me and asked me for help. And I was like, oh, I don't have any cash on me. And the person started telling me their life story. This person, grown up, has been in the US for quite a number of years. He has worked, but I think something happened along the line and he lost some of his assets and stuff like that. But he said he can't go back home because he will be deemed as a failure. That you can never make it.
Yes, and your family, people who know you back home are so many. So here, if people don't know you a failure here, but if you're back home, the whole world knows you're a failure. So,
exactly. See, that is a friend of mine once told me that now abroad they call guego. That is living life abroad is like going into a fraternity that it is easier to join and much more difficult to leave.
Yes.
Because when you come here, you don't want to go back home and be seen as a failed migrant.
Yes.
Just like what Prince has said, stigmatization. And in Nigeria, such stigmatization is really strong.
Yes.
That this person has gone to useless themselves and then returned back home to even cause us problems here.
Yeah.
So it's really disturbing. But one thing I just want us to talk about for 2 minutes, just for 2 minutes, is people living abroad. We have come and we live here now. I believe that from our discussion, those in Nigeria and other countries of their origin should understand what it is about.
Yeah.
The rest of us that are already here, realizing that is not as much as we expected, what can we do? How do we cope in this situation?
I think for people who are here, there is need for us to support each other more, both emotionally and information-wise. There is need for us to have a better sense of community amongst ourselves and amongst the people that we live with. That's one. But back home, I also think that there is need for us to start discussing these stereotypes and stigma that prevents people from wanting to go back home, wanting to go back to their roots. So we need to start talking about this more often and have a cultural reorientation about what it means, what success means for each person, because we have used the neoliberal capitalist system to define what success is. But maybe my only success would be me acquiring Western education and going back home, which now I'm even trying to remove the Western education from my life. So success should be defined differently.
I also think that one way we can cope is that at least we should try to talk to one another. This is something I have observed personally. If you come abroad, we Africans, we snub one another. You try to talk to someone, you try to start up a conversation and they don't talk to you, especially those ones that are born in that host country, because they think that they are the owners of the land. But to me, that doesn't make sense. So there is no need to frown when you see your fellow African. At least if you talk to someone, you don't know how much help it could do to their mental health. So I think that is
for me, I think that how to ease this whole Jakpa, especially for those who are already here, is to have a kind of, and hopefully people who are back home will see this video and kind of have a sense of what we are talking about. Is personally for me, I've learned a lesson. Like, don't put pressure on people, especially when they just migrated. Don't put pressure on them, monetary wise, responsibility wise, and otherwise, because they are still trying to find their footing. No matter
and if you
how
send 5K, the whole social media will hear about it.
I have to keep telling people. Sometimes when I voluntarily just send someone something, I'm like, please, for crying out loud, no go they loud down for Facebook or WhatsApp or social media.
No, Tunde Ednot will share it. Tunde Ednot.
Yes, and then you guys have heard that Jonathan said you should not pressurize people that are living abroad. And
no pressure,
the last statement, because we don't have time at all. The last one I want to add is for you guys that are back home in Nigeria, please try and understand something. The worst mistake you could make is trying to travel abroad just by any means, just because you want to leave the country. Don't do that. Make sure at least you are not making yourself an illegal immigrant, because you are going to put yourself into so much suffering, and I don't think anybody wants that for themselves. So I think that will be all. We don't want to bore you with all the long talks. I like to talk too much, but I'm trying to curtail it. So
all
See you
Thank
guys
you
next time.
for watching.
Thank you.